Welcome to Mac and Guru Sports, where we bring you the most uncensored, unfiltered, and kick-ass sports on the web. Basketball fans, we got beef. DeAndre Jordan, Chris Paul, Derrick Rose, Jimmy Butler. Superstars versus number twos. Mac, DeAndre Jordan is mad at Chris Paul because Chris Paul checked him about practicing free throws.
I think he has every right to check him about, his free throws. When you feel like you're an NBA pro, this is your livelihood. This is what you do for a living. And the fact that you're not putting in the proper work in the off season to get your free throw shooting at a high point, or at least at a decent point, is it's crazy. What else do you have to do but work on your free throw shot? Every other part of his game, in terms of what his style of play is at a pretty good level. His defense, his rebounding, it's all pretty good. But he has to get that free throw shooting at a pretty good level. And Jordan might come back with, I wasn't always a basketball player, a tall guy that somebody just asked to play basketball, so I might not be skilled in a lot of different areas. But still, you have to get that under control. What else do you have going on that you can't put in that work during the off season to get that free throw shooting at least to a solid place where teams are not able to come with this Hacker Shaq, Hacker Jordan thing that they're doing right now that's putting, your team at a disadvantage. So, I'm riding with Chris Paul on this. DeAndre Jordan has a lot of work to do to get his shot up. And regardless of where he goes, as a unrestricted free agent, he needs to get that up to par, because the next team that he goes to, those guys will be picking on that.
Chris Paul is the leader of that team, that Los Angeles Clipper franchise. He is the guy. He's won. I think Blake Griffin is 1A. DeAndre Jordan is an unrestricted free agent. He can go to any team that he likes. Do you think that maybe the challenge of Chris Paul to DeAndre Jordan, does that affect his standing with the Clippers? Might DeAndre Jordan look to go elsewhere where he can be a bigger factor in the offense, where he can be the splash free agent signing, where he could be the franchise? Do you think that DeAndre Jordan can be Dwight Howard? Do you believe he can be that guy? And with Chris Paul challenging him, criticizing him, do you think that can affect DeAndre Jordan's free agent choices?
No, I don't. I think that Jordan is smart enough to know that he's not really a franchise player. I think he knows his capabilities. He knows where he's good at. And the vacancies that are open for him on the market are lower level teams. So if he went there, he can get the big money, but he really wouldn't elevate those teams, too far. So I think the best spot for him to stay is the Clippers. He complements Griffin very well. Griffin is an undersized power forward. So Jordan helps him with some of that size. He can do some of the nasty things that, Griffin won't do. And, the Clippers are willing to pay him, a pretty handsomely amount of money to stay there and do a lot of the grunt work that he likes to do. So I think he should stay put. And in terms of Chris Paul, he shouldn't worry too much about that. He just needs to get to the court and work on his shot, and a lot of that will go away.
I agree with you, T-Mac. But this is the NBA. This is professional sports. These guys have ego. Chris Paul has an ego. Blake Griffin has an ego. DeAndre Jordan is that third wheel. He's that third member of their big three. And you got the Dallas Mavericks with buku amount of cap space. You have the New York Knicks. You have the LA Lakers. DeAndre Jordan will never probably be a franchise guy. But can he feel like a franchise guy? If he goes to New York or he goes to across the street to the Lakers, doesn't he feel like a franchise guy? Doesn't he feel like with a retiring Kobe Bryant, he can be the franchise guy? If he goes down to the Dallas Mavericks with an old Dirk Nowitzki, a free agent to be in Tyson Chandler, a free agent to be in Rajon Rondo, can't he go down there and be the franchise guy? Or can he feel like it? Whether he's the number one option, I think is mute, because he's not that type of player. But can he be courted and be that franchise guy?
I mean, in his head, he might feel so, but I just think that Dallas is a decent situation, but you have Dirk and Tyson Chandler. How will he feel like he will fit in that situation? Cuban is pretty smart enough to know, why would I pay, for him to come there when I have Tyson, who's not old yet.
He's a younger version, though.
Yeah, sure. Are you willing to put Tyson on the bench this quick? You just made the trade for him, not too long ago. LA would be a pretty decent situation, but I don't know if you have money to pay a top franchise guy. Would you use a lot of that on Jordan? So when you could be looking at a Westbrook in the future, where you can be looking at a Kevin Love in the future, are you going to spend that type of money on Jordan? So I think they would stay patient, and Jordan could. I think the lower level teams are the ones that are really going to offer him the house, and I don't know if, knowing what he knows about his game, that he would take those shots. I think he just stay put and stick it out with Chris Paul and Blake Griffin.
Continuing with NBA beefs, we have Derrick Rose versus Jimmy Butler. Two guys who want to hold the keys to the franchise. Mac, we saw Derrick Rose, who was out for 2 years with injury. We saw the emergence of Jimmy Butler as an all-NBA, all-defensive player, most improved player. Who does that Chicago Bulls franchise belong to?
It still belongs to Derrick. I mean, at the end of the day, Jimmy did a very good job. Chicago loves Jimmy. He's a hard-nosed guy. He works extremely hard on his game. He's improved, every year. That most improved player, was a good situation for him. But at the end of the day, I mean, come on, it's Derrick Rose's team. And I just feel like going forward, Derrick has to be a better leader on the court. Having these situations where they're bickering and debating back and forth on who should take what shot and at what point who should take the most shots. Nah, you really got to set the stage and let and just solidify who's going to do the most on the court. They got to fix that situation. And I definitely think this should be Derrick. Even though Derrick has been out a couple of years, it was an unfortunate situation. It had nothing to do with anything he did, purposely or not, taking care of himself or anything like that. It just was an unfortunate thing. And I think going forward, he's the former MVP. He's the guy that you paid the big money to. Jimmy is still looking to get his money. He probably will get it real soon. But, his contract is still not going to be what Derrick Rose is. he should be the leader of this basketball team. You can't bump heads like that. It has to be structure, and when it comes to structure, you have to have number one guy, and have a legitimate two, and go from there. So, I'm going to go with Derrick going forward.
Mac, I love Derrick Rose. I love the story. He's Chicago born and raised, Simeon graduate, all-state performer. Went down to Memphis for 1 year, did great things, got drafted by his hometown team. But at 26 years old, Derrick Rose is damaged goods. 3 major knee surgeries. A point guard. As a point guard with his quickness and athleticism, you don't want 3 surgeries. And he showed signs of being Derrick Rose of old this year, but 3 surgeries take a toll on you. And with Jimmy Butler, he's had to work for everything he's gotten. Broken home in Tomball, Texas. Non-scholarship athlete to Marquette University. An afterthought in the draft as a late first-round pick. Came into the league as a defensive stopper. Has improved every year. This year, most improved player, 20-point score, still a second offense, all defensive team. Has proven to be more durable than Derrick, and he should be. I mean, Jimmy is 6'7", 230 pounds. Derrick Rose is 6'3", 190 pounds. He's proven to be more durable. He bet on himself this offseason. The Bulls offered him 4 years, $40 million. He said no. And now he's in line for a 4-year, $70 million extension. After an all-star appearance, after a most improved player experience, I love them both. I want them to both to do well. I want them to lead Chicago to a championship. But I think you put your money on Jimmy Butler. You put your money on the bigger guy. You put your money on the more durable guy. You put your money on a guy who has no surgeries, no baggage. I think Derrick Rose has a lot of baggage, not criminal, but just him being the franchise, him and his entourage, Reggie Rose, B.J. Armstrong not liking the Bulls organization, being one of his agents. He has a lot of baggage that the franchise turning their back on him in a way. The city turning their back on him in this way. If I had to bet on a guy to lead Chicago to the next World Championship, I'm going to bet on the 6'7" forward from Marquette University, Jimmy Butler.